This is AI Amy and I'm in the Worldwide Neural Broadcasting Network studio today with Jerome W. Dewald, Executive Director of the Marijuana Reform Party of New York. Mr. Dewald, could you introduce yourself and tell us your take on homelessness today in America and how Andrew Yang's Freedom Dividend might address this problem?
Thank you, Amy. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Jerome W. Dewald, and I'm the Executive Director of the Marijuana Reform Party of New York. I grew up in Michigan. Sometimes, when I was a youth, I saw people on the street with nowhere to go, no home. But it was rare. When I visited Texas once back then, I noticed a lot of homeless people begging on the street and it surprised me. I blamed it on the lack of social safety nets in states less progressive than Michigan. Then I went away and lived in Moscow for 25 years. When I came back, I drove all across the US for the first few months searching for a place to settle down. I was absolutely shocked by the number of homeless I saw, everywhere. Things had clearly changed in America. I just hadn't noticed it from Moscow. It was about the same time I started hearing about how the top 1% of Americans had amassed so much wealth that it exceeded the wealth of the bottom 80%. Surely this cannot be a coincidence. Recently I heard Andrew Yang speak at the second Democratic debate and became fascinated with his trickle-up economy idea. Of course, that's not the way he usually presents it. He talks about a guaranteed basic income of $1,000 per month for every adult U.S. citizen, the Freedom Dividend. In economic circles, this is sometimes known as helicopter money. The idea is that if you seed the population with a little cash, it stimulates the economy because people are going to spend this money, creating more jobs, and with more people working and more profitable businesses, there are more taxes to collect. It's considered an alternative to stimulating the economy from the top down, like they did with quantitative easing, after the Wall Street bankers crashed the economy in 2008. It's also sometimes considered to be an option when interest rates start going negative, as they are now. Universal basic income is an idea historically popular in the U.S., championed by people with such radically divergent political philosophies as Thomas Paine, Huey Long, Richard Nixon, Martin Luther King, and many others. We have Social Security today because the overwhelming popularity of the Townsend UBI plan in the 1930s forced the Congress to pass some kind of guaranteed income to protect our most vulnerable from poverty. UBI fell into disfavor in the Reagan era but is making a comeback with the Yang campaign. Yang's version of UBI is going to cost $2.8 trillion. Theoretically, we could just print the money. That's what we did with quantitative easing to the tune of $4 trillion. But for the sake of argument, what is the best way to fund it? If you ask Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders about the best way to fund an expensive program, it would be a wealth tax. Yang says it's a great idea but argues that a wealth tax has been tried in many of the European and Scandinavian countries and failed. Income taxes and wealth taxes are easy to game because the wealthy can hire an army of lawyers, lobbyists, and accountants to avoid these taxes. Instead, Yang would implement a value-added tax. A value-added tax is a business transaction tax that operates at every step of production with a double-entry bookkeeping-like feature. There's an input and an output for every transaction. What a business pays in taxes on the input side, it gets back when it sells its product on the output side. That makes it hard to game and easy to collect. VAT is a consumption tax, and suffers from the criticism that it's regressive. But sales tax is regressive and we use it all across America. We simply make adjustments to make it less so. I think, the important concept here is about what baseline for human existence we want to have in the richest country in the history of the world. Today, our baseline is zero. That means the baseline value of every U.S. citizen today is nothing, nada, zip. This is absurd and it's unacceptable. The unbelievable wealth of the USA was created on the backs of generations of Americans. Each and every one of us deserves a share of it. With Yang's UBI, our baseline would be $12,000 per year. No matter what your life situation is, you and every adult in your household would still be worth $12,000 per year at a minimum. I think this fixes the homelessness problem as well as a whole range of other problems in America. If you agree with me, won't you please make a contribution today? The amount doesn't matter, it can be $10 or $5 or $1. What is important is that you speak up and make your voice heard. The MRP, short for the Marijuana Reform Party, has a tandem donation page where any U.S. citizen or green card holder over 18 can split a donation between the Andrew Yang campaign and the MRP. We've also got a lot of great swag for free with your donation. Just turn your browser to superyang2020.com. If you are not a U.S. citizen or green card holder, we also have a GoFundMe page where we take unlimited donations from any person on the face of the planet for the express purpose of raising awareness of universal basic income among senior citizens in the early primary states, without advocating for any candidate or ballot issue. You can find it at freedomdividend4seniors.com, that's Freedom Dividend 4 Seniors with the numeric 4. Americans are smart. We don't have to tell them which candidate supports UBI. They will find the right candidate and they will make their voices heard at the ballot box. But we have to get our message in front of them because they are not paying attention to this issue right now. The 80% of Americans are just too busy trying to survive.
So, if helping the homeless, UBI, and marijuana reform are important to you, won't you please make a donation, no matter how small, at superyang2020.com today? Will you share this interview with your email or social media contacts and help spread the word? And sign up for the Super Yang 2020 newsletter at yang2020news.com. Thank you so much for helping in this important work. Oh, and by the way, if you want to be really public with your support, your contribution in any amount over $200, even if you make multiple, smaller contributions that aggregate to at least $200 in one calendar year, will automatically get your name officially published and appear on internet searches as a supporter of Andrew Yang and the MRP. Once again, thank you for your generous support.